Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we have Rachel Lindsay, former Bachelorette and host of the Higher Learning podcast, discussing her relationship with Brian Abasolo. The title, very clickbaity, says Rachel Lindsay recalls feeling weirded out and scared after now ex Brian Abasolo proposed. Now, it's very important to note, you'll listen to the context here. It's not that she was scared of Brian, just of the whole rigmarole, as it were, of getting engaged on national TV to someone you barely know. Page 6 did not do Brian any service here by having this titled this way, although I think when we listen to it, we won't see Rachel as sort of having that vibe. I'll play this one clip. Actually, there's two clips for you right here, and then I'll share the bit about how she was scared about the whole process.
Were you super excited about it, or were you doing it to prove a point? I'm sure you had feelings about how the franchise had dealt with diversity up until that point.
Oh, yeah. I was not excited. I was nervous, but I knew that I had to do it. It was bigger than me, is what I felt. Yeah. And that feels silly to say because it's just a reality show, but millions of people watch the show. Right. And representation wasn't a thing. And so I felt like I could really represent myself as a Black woman, a professional, and I was the oldest at the time. At 31, I was the oldest Bachelorette that they had. So I felt like there were a lot of different boxes that I could check.
So there it is. She did the Lord's work by bringing representation. One more clip.
Welcome to Walmart Live.
Okay, so then capitalism. Because I was wondering, how come I can't find this podcast anywhere? Well, as it turns out, and I don't blame Rachel here, this podcast that she did right here with the, what's-his-face, Curtis Stone, it's only available on QVC. Let me tell you something. I'm not going to QVC to watch it, okay? It ain't going to happen. But we will go to their podcast app and listen to it here. Here's the clips of Rachel Lindsay discussing Brian Abasolo.
It was a death, and he got to that point where it felt like a death. He didn't want to get engaged, but then ended up saying, I'll just do it for you. And it was like, well, that's not what I want. But still, it was so
talking about the silver medalist, Peter, the runner-up.
Hard.
Right.
But I was like, I have to grieve it because this is it. We're over. We're never going to talk again. I want to leave all the emotion out. I cried off my lashes. It was a very dramatic thing because I'm just thinking in real time, I'm just picking them off, but the camera zoomed in on them and it just became this whole like Rachel cried her lashes off situation, which I've never done again. But yes, that's why I did not have two proposals. I wanted the day to be about me and Brian. And
people to this day will still say, she really wanted Peter. He was the one. It's kind of the same thing they said about Katie Thurston, right? Greg Grippo was the one. She settled. You can never prove a negative. You never know. But it worked out the way it worked out.
So then Brian gets down on one knee. Mm-hmm. He goes through it. You say yes. Yeah. You sail off. Show ends. And then you're engaged to someone who you've only known for how many weeks?
I've known them for about 10 weeks.
Right.
I've probably spent 24 hours alone with them.
Right. It's nothing.
No, it's ridiculous. But it's exciting a little bit, too.
Of course it is. Yeah. I mean, you know what? There's whole cultures.
It never works out. Forget these other cultures. The success rate is dipping below 4%. The only couples that have worked out are Joey and Charity, their relationships, and again, a couple others, but hello, those relationships are like not even a year old. Give it time. I hope they work out, but give it time.
And generations of people that got married with never meeting the person. Yeah. And a lot of those marriages went the distance, and they were very happy together. So,
by the way, arranged marriages have a higher success rate. What does that tell you? Does it tell you that Bachelor's that bad, or maybe the arranged marriages have an issue with financial control and other, familial expectations? Okay, different issue.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what the right way to get engaged is?
Right.
Right? You don't know.
I still don't know.
She said, I still don't know. Here's my suggestion. The right way to get engaged is to move in with each other beforehand and see if you're compatible living together. Oh, I know. I actually never saw my husband's genitals before we got married. Do whatever the hell you want. I'm just saying, I think in today's world, the best way to get engaged and have a lasting relationship is see if you don't annoy the ever-living piss out of each other when you're doing laundry laundry or picking your toenail jam or whatever the heck you're doing. You know what I mean?
So what did it feel like when you sail off into the distance? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Is it everything?
I felt weird. I can't say exciting was the word. I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to tell my parents that I got engaged.
So she says, I was scared. Now I have to tell my parents I got engaged, which obviously reads very different than weirded out and scared after now ex-Brian Abasola proposed. So she was scared to tell her family. Again, this isn't Rachel, instigating a fight. This is just responding to Page Six's clickbait. You're welcome, Rachel and Brian and everyone else involved, for trying to keep the conversation normal.
When I left to go do The Bachelor, I was like, don't worry, I'm not going to fall for any of these men. And I did. So I was so terrified to tell them, and they had already met him at this point, but I was like, to tell them it was real. And then I just kept looking at the ring, and he was excited. And I just was like, I was very quiet on the way home. I was weirded out. And then we get into the hotel room and we're alone. No producer outside.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I think I was like, do you want to take a bath? Because that makes me, I love baths. And then he was like, yeah. And so...
Yeah, by the way, what do you do after you get engaged and the cameras are gone? My guess is what you should do is have some edibles and order Chinese food. I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe watch Home Alone. Like do something. Yeah, have a bath, watch Home Alone, watch your favorite movie, maybe My Girl. Oh, that's kind of sad. Either way, Veda, whatever the hell you need to do, get back to your safe place because you've just went through so much paranoia, so much heartbreak, so much, wondering what you can say or who you can be. So the best way to handle it is get high.
It just helps.
He was thinking it was a different kind of bath. Let me tell you something. Going back to how men think. He was like, I sure do want to take a bath.
Well, we got there. But it relaxed me.
They got there.
And so then it just felt so comfortable. And he got very emotional and there were no cameras around. So it's like, because you wonder, are they performing? Is this real?
Right.
Are they going to be the same person when the cameras turn off? I know who I am, but who are they and who am I with this person?
Right.
And it was great. You get a little time in whatever country you get engaged in. We were in Spain. And so I remember we were in the house and our producers are there and we're like cooking and we're listening to music. And I thought, I've never even asked him what kind of music he likes. And we like the same music and we're listening to 90s R&B.
He's like, my favorite musician is James McCoy Taylor. No!
Dancing in the kitchen. And I remember we start talking about TV shows. I'm like, I don't even know what TV shows he watches. We watch the same things. So you're just learning these little things you would learn on a first date.
Yeah.
You don't really talk about on the show because does America want to watch you talk about that? Not
Maybe. Look, this is what would have been good to listen to if you're Brian Abasolo before they go into arbitration or mediation, I should say, following the divorce. Now, obviously, I feel... I'm struggling with my words here. I know, rare. I feel as though the divorce would have been better handled. And by the way, easier said than done, but it would have been better handled if they sat in a room together even with lawyers, but did it privately, worked it all out in one fell swoop. Now, would she have offered to pay him what she's now paying him? I don't know. I don't know if she would have paid him the $13,000 a month. I probably not. To be quite honest. So then you go, well, so then it was worth it. But then you think about all the money that was spent. Okay, so in hindsight, she owes him $13,000 a month. That's 130, what is that, 150, $300,000 over 2 years, right? Whatever. And she also is going to have to pay like 40 grand of his legal fees, I think. So we're looking at a lot of money. Plus the sort of collateral damage that comes with the audience he's going to lose. And, she probably lost minimal audience. He probably lost a lot more. She's the star of the show. I'm sure people dipped from him. So is it all worth it? I don't know. I don't think so. But at the same time, I understand where Brian stands, where he felt like he really made a lot of sacrifices for the relationship. I just think it's good to have these good memories and not bring up the nasty parts because nasty happens, and it's always interesting to watch the car crash as you drive by, but usually nothing good comes of that.
Necessarily.
Right.
They want a deeper story. And it was great. And I thought, okay, I actually really have a lot in common with him. We're really good together, and I'm excited about what's to come.
Hi. So how long were you guys together?
We were together for 6 years, 6.5, and married for 4.5.
Crazy.
Yeah, which is like still the longest relationship I've ever been in.
It's incredible. I mean, that's clearly not, you know, maybe there's something to it. There's something to the producers going and finding someone that really works.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I had new experiences. I learned how
So I don't think Rachel is in the setting right now. Look, this is like a food TV show on QVC. I don't think she's in the setting where she's going to really give all of her thoughts. If I were her, I would do it on my podcast or in a book. You know what I mean?
I am living with somebody, working in a partnership in a way that I hadn't before. Yeah. I'm giving you the highlights here. So yeah, there's, you know, it's ran its course.
Now you're back on the market. You're single again.
It's so weird.
And what's next? Like what are you,
I don't know.
in terms of dating? Because you've had this crazy experience that no one actually gets.
I've never been on a dating app.
Is that right?
Yeah, never did it. You know, I skipped that.
Well, Rachel, let me tell you something. Don't. Why? Dating apps are psychopathic. It takes all of our charm and all of our nuances, and it turns it into, are you 6 foot tall? Are you blonde? Are you busty? It's, you know what I mean? Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, well, you can go listen to that whole thing on any podcast app or go to QVC if you dare. I don't know why. Strange world. It's capitalism, baby. Do what you want. That was Getting Grilled with Curtis Stone. And look, I thought she came off great there. That's how you want to come off. If you are worried about, and I don't think she is, the court of public opinion, that's it. Share the highlights, you know? Share the good stuff, leave the private stuff. You know, I'll say this, you know, a lot of times you have successful leads that don't understand why other people might spill the tea or this or that. They take the high road. Take Hannah Brown, right? She for the most part takes the high road about things, but, you know, it's like, hello, you're so successful, you can deal with that. Brian Abasolo doesn't have the same clout and following that Rachel has and support. And when it all comes down to it, he lost his business for one reason or another and made the moves he made. So how she responds to it so far, I think, has been the best she could. You know, privately, she sends him the money, calls it leech or whatever, but it's like, hey, I think in the grand scheme of things, for divorced people, that's actually not too bad. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. We'll have more content coming your way right after this.